Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait. I love doing this each week, and I've missed you when I wasn't here, but I know we're back now, and I feel so good. I hope you're all doing well. I think about all of you and where you are and what you're doing and how you're living. And just please, please, please take care of yourself from the bottom of my heart. Please take care of yourself. And just want to remind you all the time, this is your show. You have a open invitation to call in anytime you want. So please feel free to do that as we get into our show. You have a question, you have a comment, whatever you like. It could be nothing about anything we're talking about. You just have something on your heart, in your mind, but please feel free to call in. So that's 919-518-9773. You can also join us in our chat. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like under the video and join us there and comment and send us beautiful quotes. Love to have that. And also you can come in on Skype voice, not video, just voice. And that would be to computers, and that's plural, then the number 2K voice. So if the mood strikes you and you want to ask a question through Skype, please feel free to do that. And I want to thank Amnon, as always, for being our producer and holding it together. So thank you, Amnon.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. I think, Amnon, this is about our 10th. We're going into our 10th year. Can you believe that?
I believe it.
10 years we started in July. So yeah. So I missed a little, but yeah, 10 years. Wow. We have certainly interviewed many, many interesting people. We've talked about some extraordinary things that are going on in the world, conversations, tools, strategies, techniques. We've been underwater. We've been on top of mountains. We've been on top of trees. We've been in a lot of places, Amnon, you and me together, ain't we?
Yep.
And
Yep.
our audience.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've been all over. So you can catch some of our older shows on YouTube for sure. And there's some really terrific ones. So go back and take a look because they're timeless. So with that, let me welcome my guest to you today. Welcome, Wendy. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. It's nice to see you again. So
Agreed.
tell everybody who Wendy is.
Oh, that's a great question. I ask myself that a lot. Well, in terms of, I live in beautiful Southern California. I have two businesses. One is the Miraculous Living Institute, which is a personal and professional growth organization. And then my other business is GTD Consulting. And that is more working with organizations to help them get better results. And probably my lane has always been in corporate culture, working with executives and their teams to be more healthy, effective, and profitable. And this is now my 39th year, which is amazing to me, since I started my business. And like many people, I've had some very interesting experiences along the way. I've been blessed. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people at this time. I'm an author, a speaker. I'm just a very fortunate person.
So Wendy, what got you on the path that you are now?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, first of all, my very first job was as a sixth grade teacher. My undergraduate work was in education. And I then went back to college and got a couple of graduate degrees. And my first job out of graduate school was as Dean of Students for a program called Semester at Sea. And I lived on a ship. We sailed around the world. I was responsible for about 700 plus co-educational students. That alone was quite a journey. And so when I came back, that had actually been one of my long-term goals. And it's when training and development was in infancy. And I happened to accept a position with the state of Missouri. I had some other options, but it turned out to be a really good decision because it was an excellent training ground for me, because we were poor, so we had to learn how to do everything. And plus, I had such a rich environment of such diverse types of positions, different from technology, which was also in infancy at that time, and just all sorts of team development, leadership experiences that were just so rich. And then meanwhile, I started my own business in 1981. But my next biggest shift happened in 1990. I was working for a Fortune 100 company. I was traveling all over the United States. And in this one period of time, I happened to be very, very sick. But I was also a bit of a workaholic back then. I was very driven. So logic was not part of my decision. And I, despite being so sick, I thought the show must go on. I got to make it to LA. And I was flying from Texas to LA. And unfortunately, I went outside the airport to get some fresh air. And I passed out and I fell over a ledge. And I fell approximately 25 feet. Now, the good news is I happened to land on my right leg. The bad news is that leg was shattered. I also had some back fractures. I was in the hospital the first time for several weeks with multiple surgeries. And I didn't know for about 11 months if I would walk again, which I do. It's all of this has worked out, just to let people know. And around week 4, my former husband came, suitcases packed, saying he no longer wished to be married. And even though I take full responsibility for my portion that contributed to that decision, the timing was pretty, it wasn't optimal, shall we say. And the worst blow actually came several months down the road when we actually went to court. And he happened to be an attorney, and he was awarded full custody of our son, who was only 4.5 at that time. And that's really when I personally broke into a lot of pieces. And interestingly enough, it was my mom who suggested at some point that maybe I might want to learn how to meditate. And at that time, Marilyn, quieting my mind was a complete oxymoron, but I was struggling. I was so heartbroken. The trauma from my accident, prior to my accident, I was fearless. I would do things and figure it out as I went along. But after my accident, everything was very different. And so I thought, desperate times, let's try this meditation thing. And what was interesting, I did go to somebody, there was a small group of us that met at this person's home. And at one point, I said to the person who was instructing us, every time I feel like my mind is going to quiet down, I get this urge to sing. And he said, well, sing. And I still laugh. I started laughing. I said, you don't understand. I have people in my life that actually suggest that I not do that. And he just looked at me and he said, Wendy, just sing. So I went back to my little place in the house and I allowed this singing to come about. And for the first time in a very long time, not only did my mind start to relax, but my body started to relax. And it was able to help me heal. And it didn't take long before I started to recognize that this was way more than me just singing. And so it was the beginning of the birthing process of what is now called the Miraculous Living Method. I actually have the ability to see people's energy. I have the ability to see, and what I am able to do is I close my eyes, and it's almost like an X-ray, because part of my brain injury, I don't know if I mentioned or not, but I was also later diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury that took quite some time to recover from. And so I'm able to see where energy whether you want to say that's thoughts, emotions, but I see where things are blocked and interfering. And we're able to go through and just kind of melt things away. And there's also a brain training aspect. I'm cliff noting it in the process that helps to strengthen the mind so it doesn't risk defaulting into old patterns. And it allows you to think and to be able to think in alignment with what it is you want to think, what you want to feel, and what you want to be experiencing.
So let me ask you something. So were you able to experience the energy prior to your accident, your husband leaving, all of those things, losing your son at the time? You couldn't. So what do you think it was about the trauma that you went through that was then um, that then allows you to be able to, kind of relate to energy?
Yeah, that's a question that I've never been able to answer with accuracy. I can tell you what I've guessed. First of all, falling 25 feet, having a brain injury may have knocked something more open. I was also broken open. I was in such heartache that I opened my heart in ways that I had never experienced before, also. I think I was always somewhat intuitive. I don't know that I would have used the same language that I use today, but I certainly didn't have the gifts that I utilize today in the form that I utilize them. So I don't know how much of it was the accident. I don't know how much of it was the heartache. Could be both. Could be I was just in so much pain and praying to God, please help me find my way, and this is what happened. It's hard to say, but what I will say that I do believe is that we all have these kind of abilities. They may not materialize in the same way, but we're all intuitive. We all have the opportunity to receive guidance from what I believe is God's source, the universe. You can call it chocolate, from what all I care, but it's not trying to be disrespectful. And I think it's life that gets in the way. I didn't have a horrible childhood, but I had a rough one. My mom happened to be a very critical and physically and emotionally abusive woman. Now, in some ways, she probably was the reason my intuition dialed up, because my antenna had to be up. Is she in one of those moods? Do I need to ignore her? Do I need to get out of her way? So in some ways, I mean, my mom, maybe not in the best way, taught me a lot about unconditional love, because I got to see contrast. And so I do believe that when we begin to open up more, we all have amazing gifts. And I think that that's one of the main contributions I make for people. It may look like I help somebody make more money. It may look like I help someone attract love. It may look like I help somebody build their business and have greater impact. But the truth is, at the foundation of all of this, I help people open up to be more authentic.
So do you know that there is a book called Broken Open?
No.
Elizabeth Lesser, who's
Oh,
helped. Do you know who she is?
yes.
She was instrumental in, or she was one of the founders of the Omega Institute up in
Yes.
Rhinebeck, New York, which I'm not sure is still even there. But she wrote a book called Broken Open, which is all about how sometimes you have to go through some really hard things that
Yep.
break open your heart. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's one of the most, even if you never read the book, just that title and the phrase you just said is so important. You know, life getting in the way. That's an interesting thing to talk about, because yes, it seems to get in the way. However, maybe it gets in the way for us to break open, because I know what I've just been through has no question broken me open more. I mean, I know that I've just spent 5 months with my mother in Florida during the beginning of COVID, and then her not feeling well has definitely uh, helped me get more and closer in touch with who I am, who I am not, who I don't know I am, who I don't know I think I am, but it's helping me change. It's helping me grow. It's helping me experience feelings that I know are not the best feelings that I am feeling because I've had so much lately of not feeling certain good things that now I know what those feelings are more than ever before. Because I am a very positive, not very, I am a positive person, and I know that because I couldn't have survived otherwise. So it is very important to acknowledge these life stories that you're talking about that help us manifest the things that we want, not shove them under a rug, not push them away, not acknowledge them, but to acknowledge them with more honor than we have ever thought before. So all the things that people are going through now, I mean, we have to take this stuff and do good things with it. And so I absolutely agree. And
Yeah,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to add the one thing that I'm personally grateful for is people don't have to go to the extreme like I did. You know, that
They don't have, not necessarily if they don't have to, but if life takes you there,
of
like
course,
it took you there, like it took me there. I mean, I did not plan my trip. I don't think you planned all the things that you unfortunately had to go through, right?
yeah,
Like,
and the part that I am grateful for is, for example, I've worked with a number of people that have been abused, and people don't have to relive it. You know, my background's in counseling psychology, organizational development, but the counseling psychology aspect, you know, we did as well as we could at that time in terms of helping people move through certain things, but we don't have to do all of that now. So people don't have to actually relive an experience. We can tap into it, clear it out, and help them realign without having to, you know, when you have a traumatic experience of any kind, you're already reliving it in your own way. Um, and we can soften that story and release it. So you're right. Some people, it's like me. There were probably little nudges along the way, and this is what took me to finally catch my attention.
well, and I would venture to say that some of those little nudges you took on. You know, I mean, I could talk about myself. I mean, I took on all those nudges, little nudges, big nudges. Did my work that I thought I was doing, that I know I did do, that helped me prepare for now my next big nudges. I mean, and some of them are similar. Some of them look similar. Some of them may take on a different appearance. But, I said the other day, I'm not covering up those graves inside of me. No more. I'm not not this not now. I would love to, but I can't. I don't think we should. I mean, I'm speaking for myself again, but no, these are holes that I am not graves that I am not covering up. And I love the fact that powerful women like you, more and more coming out, and we're talking about these things so that we know that we're not it is okay to do this work more than ever. I mean, it's okay, and we have to.
Yeah, I think we're at a very pivotal time in our country and our world. You know, between obviously what this pandemic has created for so many people, and even some of the political and racial unrest that we're experiencing here in our country. It's showing this deep, unsettled experience so many people have, because for many years we were taught if we did this, this is how our life would be. and it hasn't been working. And I see it as an opportunity for us to really dig deep. What is it that, for us to reflect? What is it that you would be happy about? What is it that you would like to contribute? We see so much separation. I mean, my gosh, even now we can't even be with people that we care about.
Wendy, let me ask you something. I don't like the question I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Okay. So how do we know it's not working? I know that I would normally say by the results, but there's so much we don't know. So how do we know? And you're a really smart lady and you understand energy, which I love. And I love understanding energy. But how do we know that this isn't part of life that looks like it's getting in the way, but really isn't?
Well, I would look at it a little bit differently. What the image that comes to me is, we have when you bowl, we have the bumpers for kids, right? So that they don't have to have a gutter all the time. It redirects. I think we're at an opportunity of redirection. And I think because everything is more and more dialed up right now, it gives people the opportunity. It's kind of like mission, hopefully not impossible, but mission possible, that we can really look at where did we get off track? What do we, or what have I done to get off track? That was one of my biggest questions after my own accident, was like, what choices have I personally made that got me right where I was? And what was I going to have to do differently from that point forward to dig out of the hole that I found myself in? And so I think that I don't look at it as right or wrong, Marilyn. I look at it more as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to say, what kind of world do you want to be living in? How are you contributing to it? How are you possibly taking us?
I'm not sure that we are off track necessarily, because the world needed to be in timeout. I mean, a lot of people all over the world needed to be in a timeout. How would we have accomplished that? And I do not want to say that COVID happened for a reason, or that COVID happened and all that, but we did need some kind of timeout. And maybe, COVID didn't happen for a reason, but we're taking it and using it for the best thing that we possibly can use it for. Because by God, I do not want to say it was like, thank God for COVID. No way. But I mean, we're visiting in a different way. We're talking in a different way, where the environment has changed because people aren't driving as much. The waters are cleaner. I mean, it has to mean something.
Well, I think what you're saying is a reflection of what I'm alluding to. For those of us,
that we're on this, I know that, and I know we're on the same page.
well,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that what you're speaking is, it's an extremely unfortunate period of time. But what you're speaking to is the opportunities that can possibly come out of this if people choose to do so. Here in the United States, we're still very much struggling. And so, we haven't quite gotten there yet, to what can we do better. And so in that sense, of course, we're not looking at, oh, yay for COVID by any means. I mean, I personally, all of us in this, just on you and your producer, we've all lost people from COVID. And that is real. And it's heartbreaking. And the people that are struggling because they've lost their jobs and they don't know how they're going to survive, pay their rent, their mortgages, food. just basic living kinds of things. It is bringing to light how off kilter so many people are in their lives, and justifiably are friggin' scared, because up until now a lot of people haven't, they've been taking things for granted.
Yeah. I mean, I know that from my past experience, day by day, it was one thing. Now, when I look back on it, I'm like, whoa. So, what do we do? Now, you are that person who is able to say, here are some constructive things because you're a miracle, or you're a miracler. So putting miraculers to the test and to the work, what are some positive things that people can do in the face of all this fear, tragedy, all that stuff? What can people do?
Well, my first bias is, what can you do to take care of yourself and your health? I know for myself, I had gone through a period of time where I was not as active, and thank goodness. But I would go to the gym. I have a Pilates studio close to me, and when that all went away, I was blessed that I lived in Southern California, where I could go out and at least get fresh air and go for a walk. And so I think that's one thing that people can do. What is it that you're doing to take care of yourself? I go out for my walk. I live in neighborhoods, where are all the other people?
Okay, so
So
I want to interrupt you a second because we have audience from all over the world and from all walks of life. When you exercise, getting physical exercise, whether that means going out in the street and throwing a ball, to walking, to do, whatever, climbing a mountain, running around the block, being whatever you can do, regardless of your walk of life. Exercise and fresh air is really important. I mean, to move that energy and to feel something that you are doing for yourself, that is a big deal. So I just want to make sure, because wherever you are, and whoever you are, there's something you can do for physical exercise now, and that's very important.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I think it's the most important thing, to take care of ourselves, because when we don't have our health, everything else is compromised. And so if that could be one wake up call for people, it's like, what are you doing to either support your health or put your health at risk? I turned 69 in May, and it's becoming more and more important what I do to care for my body. What I used to be able to get away with, you know, 30, 40 years ago is not what I can get away with now. And so my body is much more sensitive, and I have to care for it even more. And it's a journey for me as well. I'm not saying that I walk on water with it, but that's the first thing people can do.
And
Is
let me interrupt you again, one more second, because I want to make sure. Put music on. If you don't, you don't want to walk, you can't go outside for whatever reason. I mean, find yourself a really good Latin station and just dance around. Anybody and everybody can do something creative with exercise, because I'm doing that too, and everybody I'm speaking with is finding their way. People who would normally have done X are now having to do something else. So put some music on. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's tons of free
Tons.
videos for Zumba and dance and hit, and just you can, and for free. So you can find that, and we have access to so much. So the gift of this time that we're going through is technology has really been a gift, where we can actually connect, just like right now. I have clients in Australia, I have clients in other parts of the world, and we can connect. We have a group of us have Zoom happy hours, so that we can connect in different ways. We've had birthday celebrations on Zoom with family and friends. So, and we see that people are using it in all different ways. So health is the very first thing. And if, and secondly, I'm going to encourage you to take inventory. What's really working in your life and what's not? And really start to get honest. If you're working, are you feeling satisfied in your work? Is there something you've always wanted to do, but you haven't given yourself permission to do it? I'm a professional speaker, so I'm used to speaking at conferences. Now, some of those have gone virtual. A lot of them have not yet. And so there's a little more room in my schedule, and I don't have to travel, which is great. For like right now, we're speaking and I'm in the comfort of my home. So other than getting cleaned up and being present, I didn't have to travel anywhere. And so I have devoted time to writing my next book. And that has been phenomenally productive for me. So what is it that you can do that maybe you have wanted to do but haven't taken the time? Some people are doing art. Some people are finding a project of some sort. Some people are finding new ways as a family to do things. People today are taking maybe little road trips. Maybe we're not getting on airplanes. So there's a lot that we can tap into in terms of creativity that can nourish us in a way that's different, because we are not programmed to be this isolated. We are not programmed to be this disconnected. And so we have to find ways to nourish ourselves for human connection. I really get concerned about people who are single, who are living alone. Some of my clients are single, wanting love. I actually think this is a great time to do inner work. If you have been hitting up against the wall and you're not experiencing what you have deeply desired, something's getting in the way, and people like me can help with that.
So, and I would say, which is something I also say to a lot of clients, work on something for your future. Keep something going and Wendy's working on a book. Work on something that is in your future so that you always have a connection to your future. Something that inspires you to keep going. It's very important. Some kind of a project and if it's work related, it's work related. If it's personal, it's personal. But there's always something that you can work on that keeps you going, because I don't care where you're from, how much money you have, what kind of home you live in, what part of town. We are all made the same. Yes, there can be people living in millions and trillions of dollars worth of houses. They can travel, they can do things. But at the end of the day, we all have a heart, a soul, a spirit that is just the way it is. So, there's going to be something you have to be creative with it. We're being creative with how we do business. We're created with everything we do, and everybody can do that. So it's very important to try to get a handle on what those things look like for you. And I want to make it also, I like that you brought up about people that are at home. It is a very good time to connect, even when you're single. There are lots of opportunities and friends that you have to help you do that. So really and truly, not there are things that seem harder, but they're not impossible. They're not impossible.
Well, that's really true. And I think the other thing is, it's my experience that a lot of people find it challenging to ask for help, for support. And one of the things that I like to reference is, I'll ask you, Marilyn. Marilyn, you have a friend who's struggling. and you've just gotten off the phone with that person. How does it feel supporting your friend?
Are you really asking me?
Yeah, I'm really asking you.
Honestly, it feels great. And I'll tell you what, I haven't always been the person, I'm always I'm very, most of the time, the listener and not always the sharer of what's going on in my life. So I will flip the question and tell you that I am very open to sharing the things that I have been through. I have been, there has been a lot of pain attached to what I've been through in the last 5 months. I felt like I was in a bunker and like I had been kidnapped and just like, I wasn't, I mean, just in a bunker all by myself. So I can tell you that sharing for a strong woman like myself, I'm a coach, I'm an author, a lot of those things. I don't always put myself in the position of just sharing that stuff. I'm always the one that people are telling that stuff to. So to tell has been fabulous. And I will tell almost anybody who will listen. So
Yeah,
it feels great to have people listen to me.
of course. But the point that I'm also wanting to make here is when we support somebody else, it really feels wonderful. Why would you, for those that are challenged to ask for some kind of support, why would you deprive us of feeling good to support you? You're not doing a disservice by asking. So I'm bringing this up to encourage people to actually be okay. Give us the gift of being able to be productive, to support you, because it feels good to do that. And so it's like, well, so it's like, if you have any hesitation, stop. Don't make up stories that people aren't there for you, or because we're not mind readers. And so this is another opportunity that we're going through right now is, pulling together. It's okay. I've had days, I just recently had a really good friend pass away, and it was very unexpected, and it was a true heartache. And then another friend had something going on, and then another close friend had something happen in their life. And I was like, and my business is supporting other people. And I had to have a timeout. And I just said, I need support right now. I got to fill myself back up. And, fortunately, I have a wonderful partner who was able to be there for me. I have some exceptional girlfriends. And I said, okay, I just need, you can talk about whatever you want, but I just got to hear something good.
Well, yeah, I mean, and people, people want to do that. People loved to listen to me. People checked in with me on a regular basis, and without that help, I'm not sure how how it would have been, but I know that it's been a lot easier. And we all, in the exchange of energy that we are able to do with each other is great. And I will continue to share, and I will continue to listen, as we all should. Now, before I ask you more, do you have my books there? Yay. Okay, so here are my books. 3 are on Amazon as we speak. In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of Men, then Twins, then Millennials, and they're all full of real, true stories that are, really help us understand who we are and who we, um, and what other people go through, which is very important. And soon, people impacted by opioid addiction, which has been a real joy to work with and get close to people, whether they are mothers, fathers, sisters, or the actual addict and their struggles, because it's amazing what you find out when you get past what you think you know. And very soon, Black fathers, which I cannot wait to get into. So The first three are on Amazon, and the others soon will follow. The Opioid book is at the editor now. Thanks, Amnon. So, you know, I think as far as business today, that is also very personal things are a challenge, but also people are finding themselves extraordinarily challenged when it comes to their business and figuring out, how to do things. And of course, a lot of people have come out and have, you know, been slamming the airwaves with all kinds of opportunities and do this and do that and buy this course, buy that course. And there's a lot going on. So what do you suggest to and then there's a lot of businesses who their teams are not working together anymore, right? They're separate. They're working from homes. They're not in their corporate offices anymore. So what are some of the things that you suggest to whether it's the entrepreneur who thrives on other entrepreneurs and whatever the next challenge is, and then the big corporations, the teams that are not together? What are some of the things that you can recommend?
Well, first of all, from some of the feedback I've gotten, even the people that are working remotely are actually really liking it. I think, again, we have technology. So we are able to still connect with each other. A lot of people are liking the fact that they can work from home. It may actually be changing the way we do business because of what we were forced into. I know people, who was I talking with? I was just talking to somebody just the last week who closed they have a business, and they actually closed their office for the first time in 20 years because they're all working remotely. Now, this is having a ripple effect for those people who were getting money from their property. But a lot of people are liking the fact that they're home more with their families. Yes, it's brought more challenges to where some people are having meetings with their kids on their laps. Big deal.
But I like those people.
Yeah.
Something, I like those people. I want to see that in people. When I'm seeing that tells me so much about that person. So I love how authentic things are looking.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing it necessarily as a huge hurdle. I think that for those of us, such as myself, who were used to speaking, for example, at live events, event planners who were doing live events, that we are directly affected. And yes, the internet is now flooded with lots of opportunities. But I think, again, if we stay in our lane, it's still an opportunity, meaning, what are you best at? And I personally keep looking at what can I offer people today? I'm making some special offers for people who want to open up and raise their, what I call their financial set point and open up to receive more opportunities. That's one of the things I can help people with. And so, again, it's forcing many of us to take a step back, and what do we need to do different? What can we do different? Reach out to former clients, reach out to people that It's for those of us that have had our own businesses, we're used to reaching out. We just have to do it maybe a little bit more.
Maybe a little more intentional. I mean, you just said, there are things that you do well. Well,
Yep.
find the things that you do well, find the things that somebody else does well, and see how you can come together and do something else really, really, really well too. And just partner more. I mean, but we have to do it. We're not going to a networking meeting or a conference and meeting somebody, right? You have to be intentional about how you're meeting people, and it is okay. It is really okay to also have an agenda. I
Yeah,
mean, real. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the ways you and I met. Is we met through LinkedIn, and you came up in my feed at some point. I reached out to you. We had a conversation. Um, I I initially, when I saw what was happening, I went through my old files. I made a list of clients that either, hey, would you like a tune-up? Um, or who do you know that maybe might be interested in what I offer? And to have some flexibility within that. If somebody comes to me and they have something they want, I've adjusted some of my fees. I don't mind even saying that. I'm here to help people get results. And if that means that I'm giving somebody a leg up, great. If that means that they can be off with their bad selves, shall we say, great. And that's another thing. Maybe your work is over here, but you can contribute in a different way.
Right.
Is there something about our world that is bothering you right now? Is there something that you have, some skill that might make a difference in someone else's lives?
And it may not be, that's a great point, and it may not be a skill or something you thought of before, but it is something that keeps knocking you in the head. And you cannot not look at it, and you cannot address it. But before we go on to anything else, Wendy, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, your website, all that kind of stuff. That would be a good time to do that.
Sure. Well, it's very easy. I have two websites. One's Go the Distance Consulting, even though our company name is GTD Consulting. But real easy, wendydarling.com is the inroads to my Miraculous Living Institute. There's a place that you can schedule a complimentary period of time. I call it a heart to heart, to just see where you are, what's going on, see if there's a way I can support you in any way. I have a book called The Miracle That Is Your Life. You too can get that on Amazon. And I'm always interested in, if you have connections to associations, organizations that are looking for speakers, that's greatly appreciated. But mainly, in all honesty, right now, Marilyn, I really want to be working with individuals and organizations to just keep them, moving forward more effectively. And as we've alluded to, I've been given some amazing gifts to help make that so much easier. And I'm very blessed that, even though I wish it would have happened a little bit easier, I'm very grateful that I can offer this today.
Wonderful. Well, we can't give up. We can't say, well, this isn't going to work if you haven't tried. I mean, at least you got, and I don't even like the word try. It's already doing. And I also want to mention to people that I am part of a team facilitating an opioid summit, which is now virtual, on October 9th. And we have an amazing lineup of speakers. It is called the People's Opioid Summit because it is for everyday people, addicts as well, but it's for the mother, the father, the sister, the brother, what I call the frontliners, the people who, somebody said to me the other day, she said, when I woke up from ODing, it wasn't the doctor or my counselor that was in front of me, it was my best friend. And that is who this summit is for. It is on October 9th. Go to the website, People's Opioid Summit. You can see all the information right there. There's a Facebook page for it as well. And it's really going to help educate everyone who doesn't know very much or who thinks you know something. But also it's about relieving us of the stigma so that when we get rid of these stigmas, then we are free to really grow and connect. And when we get rid of the opioid stigma, we can really start to heal people with addiction, or they can start healing. So in our final words time, Wendy, what are some of the things you would like to leave our audience with?
Hmm. That's a rich, rich question. Um, First of all, I live in a world where I believe everything's possible. If you have a desire in your heart, I believe in every fiber of my being that it is also your truth. And I believe that when we have these desires, when you finally give yourself permission to feel that, to own it, that's when life starts opening up in different ways. In my world, it's almost like God put these desires in our hearts to dangle a carrot in front of us, to have us go after something so that we grow, we evolve, and that we contribute. Because I believe we're all here to make a special mark, to make a special contribution in life, no matter what it is. It could be making a mark in your family, the difference that you make as a parent, as a sibling. It could be something more profound. It just depends, but pay attention. Because also, I believe that when we own the desires, we are able to even contribute more. So, for example, I've mentioned more than once, one of the areas that I help people with are singles who want to attract love. And I believe that when they're not in relationship, being nourished, they're being held back and having to overcompensate by being on their own. And by bringing a partner into their life, nourishes them. And now that probably both can have an even greater impact in however that might look. So that's one of the things I love. And if you have hit a ceiling, or if you've hit a wall with anything in your life, but maybe your finances are of concern, there are ways to open that up. You know, I have this ability to see what the interference is. I have a system that identifies where it is, what it is, and what we can do differently, and how you can become in full alignment.
That's good. That's what that works. That works. That works. Good. Good.
And
Good.
you know, we didn't really get into the story of how I became in this miraculous miracle business, so to speak. But I really do believe life is miraculous. I believe you are not a coincidence or an accident, that you are here for something like nobody else, kind of like your thumbprint. And that's our job in life, is to discover what that is, to cultivate ourselves in a way that we can make our special mark and contribution.
So here is what I'm gonna say at this point. Listen to the messages, listen to what's going on, listen to the music around you, listen to your thoughts, listen to what you like, listen to what you don't like, listen to who talks to you and what you make up about it. Piece it together and go deep with your listening. Your listening is going to tell you so much about maybe what's next. You know, maybe what you thought about when you were 10 years old that you kind of buried, that's about to come up. But life, as Wendy is saying, it is a miracle. And it is a miracle each and every day. But if you don't look for the miracles, you will not see them unless they just slap you in the face and you have no choice. So you've got to look for the miracles to see them. I want to mention something else about the Opioid Summit, which is very important to me. And if you are someone with a tool, a strategy, any kind of technique, a product, a service, and you would like to be part of our vendors or our sponsors, please write to me at marilyn@marilynshannon.com. We're using a really great platform that will be like walking into a room with a main stage and a vendor area and all the kinds of things that you would see in our old life when you went into an event space. This will be different. but it will be cool. So please reach out to me at Marilyn@MarilynShannon.com. So Wendy, a final word.
What you just brought up, I think is really important. Miracles come in all sizes and shapes. Sometimes it's a miracle that I got my rear end out and I went for a walk, or I wrote a chapter in my book, or I had a very challenging conversation. Miracles can show up. It's seeing the hummingbirds as I'm walking. And I think when we pay attention to the tiny little things that maybe we could stretch and say, wow, that was pretty special, that's when more miracles begin to be present. So start somewhere. Definitely make sure that you practice gratitude. What can you be appreciative? What can you be grateful for right now in this moment? Some days it's, oh my gosh, I woke up and I get to start a day. I was able to take another breath. The cool air was coming in this morning. Whatever it might be, again, that also produces more.
Absolutely. And I think, and that is a wonderful way to sum up, is to recognize the gratitude that it is a miracle, to recognize the miracle, and it is a gratitude, whatever it is. I don't care whether you get in your car and your car goes because somebody got in their car today and it didn't go. So anything that you can look at and go, yes, will take you to yes, another yes. It's really important. So keep doing it and keep going. And please reach out anytime you have any questions at all. We are here. So remember, I am at MarilynShannon.com. And Wendy, give your email one more time.
Now, Wendy at wendydarling.com.
Perfect. You see, we got our names in there. We got the miracle. Anyway, Wendy, it's been a pleasure to have you today. Thank you so much for gracing our Zoom stage. It's been a pleasure. And everyone else, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I appreciate it because I'm a relationship person and a connector. So it's very important for me. It nourishes me to have these rich kind of conversations. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for saying it. And I feel the same way. So everyone out there, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. We'll be here again next week, but please reach out. We love to people like us, we love to connect. That is what juices us. And so whatever your thing is, whatever it is, whether you think it's momentary or it's a lifetime of something, reach out. And I want to thank you for everything. And I love you. He's in the background. Thank goodness for Amnon. And we'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.